Hello, I'm Lance O'Geist. I'm counsel to DA Hines. He could not be here this evening, but I'm glad to be here representing with Alex Gurevich, who's always at these meetings. There is an ongoing investigation in relation to that. I do not know what stage it's at right now. Kevin Richardson from Rackets Division was looking into the matter, and I know it's still ongoing. So we'll see where it leads us, and if there's something that can be done about it from our end, we will definitely do something.
What would happen if what would happen if you do find?
I'm not sure where that would go, but it is being looked into very seriously by the police.
I think the answer to that question is
jail.
if they find out that there was some organized breaking of the law in terms of a slowdown, you have to then look at what the consequences were, which were in some cases people died. So I think it would be a very, very serious consequence. Look, we don't know, and I don't want to cast aspersions. If it happened, it was wrong, and it needs to be investigated and prosecuted. If it didn't happen,
how much proof do they need when you? How much proof do you guys need when every single plow in the city was up? I mean, what more proof? What kind of investigation? Every plow was up.
He can't answer a question like that because it's an ongoing investigation. I know that's frustrating. It was frustrating to us in the council during the snow hearings not to be able to delve into that, but we very clearly could not do that. You wanted to answer this?
I just wanted to say, ma'am, on your complaint, if anybody, there is a 311 system, and I want you to know, the 311 system, when you call the 311 system, it is a direct line to us, in that it does generate a complaint. Write a truck number down, document what was said, who said it, and every truck has a number on it, clearly stated. It identifies the district it works out of. But I'm trying to address the complaint. Through the 311, ma'am, you could have addressed that problem, and we will go right to the driver.
Well, let me just say that I'm not surprised to hear the chuckling at the mention of 311.
Many times, and it's really unfortunate. And the scary part is that we don't have any way to know that it's not going to happen again. That's what's bothering everybody here tonight. I think everybody feels the same way. We're frustrated because we could bring a problem to Captain Deddo. He says we're going to do A, B, and C, and then you see A, B, and C. Here's the great unknown: what's going to happen next? And when Avenue L is closed down, you can't drive down. It shuts down the whole neighborhood. It's a major thoroughfare. People cannot get where they need to go. It's a really dangerous situation. And with all due respect, these are not answers. There's just no answers here.
Captain, I just want to say one thing. My son walks back and forth to yeshiva 3 times a day, and now since these incidents happened, he's been taking the car. I think it's terrible that we're talking about childhood obesity, all these things. He wants the exercise. He's not safe to walk the streets. If it's a cop that's killed, they get him within a day or 2. I don't think we should wait for a tragedy. You have to do what has to be done.
Shifting gears.
It doesn't have to be anybody to be killed for us to shift gears. I could sit here and give statistics on how many more people we're monitoring in this neighborhood, how many more arrests we've made in this neighborhood just in the last couple of weeks. But anybody who knows me, that doesn't change the fear, the perception, and or the victims, and I might have some in the room now. So I feel everything that you're saying, and believe me, every one of my officers feel what you're saying. And it's come up in the last couple of questions, not directed to me, this border issue. We don't have a border. The New York City Police Department does not have a border issue. Every operation that I'm doing is on the 7-0 side also because of the Nostradamus. That's our closest border. We are one. Yes, we have to communicate back and forth, but that's what we do best here in Brooklyn South. As far as we're an edge or an extreme, this community is one of the closest to my precinct. So we are neighbors. You're not on a far edge of anything.
There's a difference between the sanitation district and the precinct, so it doesn't.
But it's still the same question, and that's we talked about what has to happen. Year to date, right now, there's 22 major crimes that happened in this community. the 6th precinct year-to-date has 184 crimes. Now, if I wasn't feeling the importance of this issue, we wouldn't have so much personnel here. I wouldn't have reached out and gotten such great support on the borough level to bring more personnel here. So one crime is always too many. I know it's a cliche, but these particular crimes, when we're looking at youth, and we're looking at possible, you know, one knife can kill somebody. You don't have to. That's why I have to stand it. You don't have to tell me that. I know that. I feel that. And we also get into the perception. I you know, would like to stand there with 100% confidence and tell you that this is the safest community in New York right now. But that's not necessarily going to convince you.
On sanitation ticketing policy. And, you know, my conclusion at the end of that, and, you know, the deputy superintendent doesn't have to say, yeah, it's true, was these folks have quotas. And they if they're walking down the block, they're not walking down the block to give one ticket, they're walking down the block to give 10 tickets, and believe you me, you can ticket people for almost anything in the city of New York because it's about raising the revenue. And the sanitation department will say, oh no, we don't have a quota, we have
productivity.
You know, productivity, thank you. It means because if a sanitation officer is not writing a certain number of tickets, we don't know what he's been up to. Well, that's the same thing as a quota, for crying out loud. And you know what we've got to get back to, and this is, you know, there's an old Jewish expression: when the fish stinks, it stinks from the head. There is an attitude in this city that tickets are not for preserving quality of life; they're for raising money. That needs to stop. We are doing everything we can to do that.
Because everybody in your department responded immediately and with
Good things too.
I wish to God that I had the sense of mind to take down the names of all the officers involved. I ran out of my house with no shoes on. I didn't have the presence of mind to write down all the officers involved, but there was not one of them that was not completely respectful, completely attentive, and did not respond with utmost immediacy and urgency. So thank you very much for that. Feels much safer in this community. I have to say, I get squad cars on at least 15 blocks within a radius of my house the past couple of nights. So I do appreciate that you have put the force out there. It is out there. I have seen it. My neighbors have commented that they've seen it. I just want your assurances that it will not stop.
First of all, I thank you for the kind words, but just like the lady before, I have teenage children, so I don't apologize, but I empathize with what was going on in your family that day, and on behalf of all of my officers, we hope that she's doing well. But that's absolutely right. You know, this presence that's here, this won't be here for weeks and weeks, God willing, because that means things will have calmed down. But part of what we do is what we call maintenance. My officers and the teams that I have will not disappear from this area and will probably even augment more. And the two big units that are here, I happen to be the commanding officer of those, so I know how everything works. They won't pull out all at once. It will go in steps, and I'll be coordinating and see what's working and what's not. So it won't be everybody's here now and then everybody's gone. And even when outside is gone, will be, especially the warmer weather is
She had taken it out to text me that she was a block from the house and that we shouldn't be nervous because we were nervous about the stabbing from Saturday night. And in the circle, where it's a gorgeous sitting area, she sat down with her friend for a moment.
The phone was so old we couldn't track it like we were doing. The incident that happened with the Shabbos service crossing the street, I think like somebody whispered, was another precinct. But I don't pass the buck. I have to commend Brooklyn South as a whole, as a team. The CEO of the 6-1 precinct was right on top of that. Took a very strong involvement. The borough level, of course, to our chief, Chief Fox, who's near and dear to all religious issues was right on top of that. And if you don't know, and I don't know the whole details, but I believe those officers don't work in the 6-1 precinct anymore. But the gist, just to cover that, is Brooklyn South, and of course every member of the 6th Street precinct is very conscious of all religious observers. That's a weakness in, I believe, the individual officer, not in the representation of the 6-1 precinct. And of course, the victim is not a I'm sorry, I don't know. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call us, reach out to us. I'm confident you'll be satisfied with our community affairs and our specialty people answering it. But if you're not, everyone has a way of getting in touch with me, and of course, with the great political leaders we have, they'll certainly tug on my ears.
I would like, on behalf of the community, to thank our elected officials, the captain, sanitation, district attorney, all the people who came here tonight. On behalf of the community, we really appreciate it. This is important. It's important for those of us who come to meetings, and it's even more important for those of us who really don't come to meetings. So we truly appreciate the time. You're people of your word. You came, you stayed. We thank you.
Thank you.